If you started to quietly believe that something about you is just wrong, that other people get loved easily, and you somehow don't, I want you to consider this. You're not unlovable, you're unseen. You've been standing in rooms that were never built to recognize what you actually are. Somewhere along the way, you took the silence of the wrong people and turned it into a fact about yourself. A few rooms didn't light up when you walked in. A few people you wanted didn't want you back. And instead of thinking, wrong room, wrong people, you thought, wrong me. That's the quiet logic of feeling unlovable. It takes the verdict of strangers and treats it as the truth of your soul. Think about a painting for a moment. Imagine a real, extraordinary painting hung in the wrong place. In a dim hallway, under a flickering bulb, in a building full of people rushing past on their way to somewhere else. Day after day, nobody stops. And you might start to think the painting is the problem, but the painting hasn't changed at all. The color is still there, the depth is still there, every brushstroke the artist agonized over is still exactly where they left it. What's missing isn't worth. What's missing is light, and a single person who slows down long enough to actually look. That's closer to what's happening with you than you let yourself believe. Being unseen is not the same as being unlovable. One is a fact about how you're built, and there's no such thing as a person who can't be loved. The other is a fact about your circumstances, about who happened to be in the room, about the light you've been hung under. Circumstances change. The painting was always worth stopping for. Let me tell you about someone. I'll call him Theo. Theo spent most of his 20s convinced he was fundamentally unlovable. He'd watch friends fall in and out of relationships with an ease that felt like a foreign language, and he'd go home alone and run the same grim arithmetic. Must be me. Must be something missing in me. He stopped reaching, because why reach when the answer was already written? What Theo couldn't see was that he'd spent years in rooms that simply weren't his. The crowd he'd been trying to win over prized things he didn't have and didn't even want. He was a quiet, loyal, slow-burning person, standing in a fast, loud, surface-skimming world, wondering why nobody saw him. Then, almost by accident, he ended up somewhere different, a smaller circle, a different kind of people. And within months, someone looked at the exact things he'd been apologizing for and called them the best things about him. Nothing about Theo had changed. He'd just finally been hung in the light. He wasn't unlovable, he'd been unseen. There's real science under this, by the way. Psychologists studying attraction have repeatedly confirmed something called the mere exposure effect. The more genuinely familiar we become with a person, the more we tend to like them, trust them, find them attractive. Liking isn't usually love at first sight. It grows with real, repeated, attentive contact, which means being loved was never about being instantly dazzling to a room of strangers. It was about being truly seen, over time, by the people who actually stay. If the right people haven't found you yet, the science says the problem was reach and exposure, not you. So if you've been carrying the word unlovable around like a diagnosis, here are 3 things I want you to understand. First, you've been letting the wrong room be the jury. A handful of people who didn't see you do not get to testify about your worth. They weren't qualified, they were just present. Stop accepting verdicts from people who never actually looked at the painting. Second, being unseen is a problem of place, not of value. The fix for an unseen painting was never to repaint it into something more pleasing. It was to move it into better light, in front of people who slow down. You don't need to become more lovable. You need to be more findable, by the people built to see you. Third, the right people change everything, and they're quieter to find than the wrong ones. The wrong rooms are loud and easy to wander into. The right ones take patience to reach. But the moment one true person sees you clearly, the whole story of being unlovable collapses because it was never a fact. It was just a lighting problem all along. So stop sanding yourself down to fit a room that was never yours. You were never unlovable. You were a real thing of worth, hung for too long in a hallway. Nobody walked down slowly. The writer, C.S. Lewis once said that to love at all is to be vulnerable, and that the only place outside heaven where you can be perfectly safe from love is hell. You were never safe from love. You were just waiting, in the dark, for someone to bring the light close enough to see. That's not a flaw to fix. That's a room to leave. You were never unlovable. You were simply unseen, hung in the wrong hallway, told by the wrong crowd that the silence was about you. It wasn't. So step into better light. The ones who are always going to love you are still looking for where you've been hanging.